to be without land over a period of time. Thanks be to God, the land we are going to, there'll be land for everybody. All right? And this is God's intention, that we should possess land. Inhabit it, utilize it. But right now, we come here, we live for a while, and then we're gone. And I remember a very famous story. I don't remember all the details of the story now, but the short of the story is this. There was this man who was told that any distance you walk, within a certain time period, you will get that land. And the man started to walk and walk and walk and walk, and he walked and he walked. And he tried, but he said, I want more land, so he walked some more. The bottom line of the story is that he fell dead. And the question was asked, how much land him get? It may sound crude and rude, but he only gets 6'6". And sometimes these days we don't get 6'6" anymore. You may get this 6 in length, but you might not get the 6 in depth. I've made a point, haven't I? And the same thing is going to happen to us, because at the end, that's all we're going to get. 6'6", more, as the elder shaking head, more or less. But that's just this life. Let's not be morbid. We're going to move from that. But I just want that to sink in, because so many people think, oh yes, I have acres and I have acres and I have acres, but I'm pointing out to us again, the moment you drop dead, you don't have nothing. And the Bible tells us, Job said it so well, naked I came, naked may I go back. So let's not fool ourselves, we do not own anything. You got that point? Good. So we can move on now. So we're going to look at, my thing here is not behaving as it should. Can I get assistance? My big button is not working. All right, let me reverse and see. No, it's not responding. Oh, there we go. All right. This is where we are going to go now. 7 ways to look at stewardship. And the first thing we're going to look at stewardship is time. And I've broken it down. Time, temple, talent, treasure, trust, theology, and testimony. And you can find these in different order. All right, now let's look at what the servant of God has to say to us. Ellen View, did I say Ellen View? Ellen G. White viewed time as sacred. It's a sacred, finite gift from God to be used for His glory, emphasizing its value and the importance of living each day with purpose and preparation for eternity. She stressed that every moment is precious and should not be wasted on selfish pleasure or sin, but instead used to form character and serve God. Life is short and every moment is valuable. There is no time to waste. Each day should be lived earnestly as if it is the last, through prayer, work, and self-improvement. She encouraged practical applications of time management, such as organizing church members for service and focusing on simple, effective work plans. Elder, did you have your hand up? Elder Clunis? Did you have your hand up? Okay, all right. Now, living each day as if it was our last. You know, many times we hear about accidents on the road. And this point came home to me forcibly. No, we hear about accidents almost every day. And I don't know if it is because somebody posted something out of that last accident, the one where 5 were killed in that minibus and others injured. And it came home to me forcibly that those 5 did not know it was their last ride. And we get up every day and we move about and we don't know when it could be our last ride. And accidents happen all the time. So why did this one strike me like that? I'm still wondering about it. But it's the reality of this life that we can go at any point in time. Time is sacred. Any comments here? All right, let's look at the next one. I think I need my prompt again. The movement is not moving. Can I get some assistance with the movement again? All right. All right, I'm going to see if I get additional assistance here. That's what happens when things don't work as they should. All right, let me try again. No, still stuck. Still stuck. All right, let's go here. Okay. All right, now let me just backtrack. All right, yes. All right, this is where we need to be now. So let's look at the screen again. The value of time is beyond computation. Christ regarded every moment as precious, and it is thus we should regard it. Our time belongs to God. Every moment is His, and we are under the most solemn obligation to improve it to His glory. Of no talent, and I want this one to sink in, so let's try to absorb it. Of no talent He has given will He require a more strict account than of our time. God grants men the gift of time for the purpose of promoting His glory. When this time is used in selfish pleasure, the hours thus spent are lost for eternity. And Ephesians 5:15 and 16 advises us to redeem the time because the days are evil. And so when we look at it, time is the same thing that everybody has. Am I correct? And when I thought about this, I realized just how true this is. Some people have more money. Some people have more land. Some people have more clothes. Some people have more food. But every 24 hours, everybody get that. And that is why God is very specific about the use of time. And that is why it says of no more. He has, of all the talent He has given, He will require a more strict account of than the gift of time. And so we can argue a lot of things. Lord, you did give him a big car, you did give him a big house, let me just get a small one. And you could try to argue that. I mean, there are other things that we know, variables that we're not going to talk about this afternoon. But the bottom line is God is going to ask, well, what did you do with the time that I gave you? And so if we misuse our time, we have to give an account for it. So as Ephesians 5 says that we are to redeem the time. What does it mean to redeem the time? David, yes? Use the time wisely. Yes, that's what it means, to use the time wisely. David also in Psalm 90, we all know that famous psalm. Teach us to number our days. Why? Because our time is limited. And so when we use our days wisely, all right, it's stuck again. All right, Get some help on that? All right. So let's move on now. Redeeming the time. Yes, Elder, go ahead. Do we have a roving mic? Can we get one? Thank you. Say that again. Yes. All right. So that is quite true. So we're to use time wisely. I notice how many times she said don't waste time. And she has given us good counsel as to how best to use time. For example, she says, and I think we mentioned that this particular point in church here before, that in order not to waste time, if you have an appointment to go someplace to meet someone, she advises that you travel with a book. And then while you're waiting, whether it's the plane, the train, the ship, or whatever, read. Read. She suggests you read. And in that way, you'll be utilizing your time well. And that is part of redeeming the time, because the days are evil. And if God gives you time and you don't use the time properly, you will still have to give an account for misusing time. And Elder, you talk about spending time. And we like to talk about it when we were children. We used to spend time in the country at Grandma's house. Spend time? Yeah, but we didn't realize we were spending time. We were just having fun and enjoying holiday. But now we get bigger and we learn, yeah, we were actually spending time. And we weren't always spending time in the best way. I mean, as children, we need to play, yes, and all of that. But we were not seeing spending time as being the thing back then. All right, the next slide tells me that by beholding that which God has given us to use in His service, be it time or any other means, entrusted as gift, we are working against God if we do not use time wisely. Parents should teach their children the value and right use of time. Teach them that to do something which will honor God and bless humanity is worth striving for. God has no use for lazy men. Do I need to repeat that? Yeah, it struck me like that too. I see the expression on some faces. God has no use for lazy men, especially in His cause. He wants thoughtful, kind, affectionate, earnest workers. Upon the right improvement of our time depends our success in acquiring knowledge and mental success. So, and we spoke, the elder spoke this morning about looking after our mental health. And we should also include looking after our spiritual health. Because a lot of time, rightly, we spend, and we should, spend time looking after our physical health. But we also need to spend time looking after our mental health as well as our spiritual health. So we are to teach our children to do something which will honor God and bless humanity, and do things, of course, which are right, striving for. Upon the right improvement of our time depends our success in acquiring knowledge and mental culture. And I will break very shortly to allow Sister McLean to share with us how we can properly use the tithe envelopes and other things which relate to our in-house business. But let me conclude about time. It is wrong to waste our time. It is wrong to waste our thoughts. If every moment were valued and rightly employed, we should have time for everything we need for ourselves and for the world. In the expenditure of money, in the use of time, strength, opportunities, let every Christian look to God for guidance. And let me ask you the question. Many of us, you ever find yourself that you don't have time? Talk to me now. Why you don't have time? I'm not hearing you. Work pressure. Yes, Elder? Speak.
Because you have more things to do than time allowed, allotted time allowed. So you're overpacked.
Interesting that you should say that. You sure you never have enough time? Or is it that you never use your time wisely?
Now remember that you're coming from the standpoint where it said 6 days shall thou labor. God is the first person that,
okay, good.
that divides time.
So
6 days shall thou labor and do all your work. So it depends now on the amount of work that you pack within the 6 days. So you will now say you don't have enough time because you have taken on more than the 6 days allotted for.
So let me hear you correctly. You're saying it's not that you didn't have enough time, but you misuse the time. And the time catch up on you.
Yes, because you don't budget
lovely
properly.
word.
You don't budget properly for the duration that each task should take to include the spiritual and the mental and the physical. So you find that you're overdriving yourself, and at the end you don't really accomplish anything, so thus you waste time.
Okay, Sister Keys? So there we go again. It's the management of time that is the problem, not that we don't have time. Agreed? Everybody agree on that? Me agree too. I am one of those persons, and I think I declare it here already. I can declare it one more time. Not to boast about, that I, especially in study time, serious procrastinator. Last minute. You give me, last minute. The assignment going in, last second. That's you. Yeah, man, some of us stay so. But the point is, so when I ran out of time like that, it was not that we did not get enough time. We had sufficient time, but we did not manage the time properly. We did not budget the time properly, and so we find ourselves out of time. So when you find yourself running out of time, what do? Thank God we have a merciful God. And we can go back to him and say, God, I didn't use the time right. I didn't use the time well. Please forgive me and help me to make better use of time. But here's something about time too. And I'm closing on this one. And then allow Sister McLean to come back and we take up the other 6. You will never find time for everything. Why? You must make the time. And I have discovered, it's just like relationship. And this is a big red flag to some people. You spend time in a relationship and they don't have time for you. Something wrong. When people want relationship, they find time, and when they can't find time, they make time. I mean, I use the Jamaican expression. They make time. Well, you can't buy time, so you can only make it. But you understand what I mean. So the point is, if you are sufficiently, if the thing or person or whatever is of sufficient importance to you, you are going to make time for that thing. So as I conclude, yes, Ella, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that wasting of time borders on sinfulness too, because covetousness plays a very important role, because most persons don't really identify who they are and the role that God has for them, so they spend more time trying to be like the Joneses. So because you see your neighbor have a brand new car, you waste your time trying to work to get one, so you fail to recognize your purpose in life, and so therefore you covet, and you don't really achieve what you should have achieved if you were following God's instructions.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. And I'm going to repeat as I close off about time. And I don't want you to forget this. Anytime we are out of time, anytime we can't find time, it's because of where our interest lies. If the thing is of sufficient importance to us, If we can't find the time, we are going to make the time. No joke about it. So when people rudely or innocently tell you, me no have no time for you, take it literally. Them no business with you. Me no have no time for you, me no business with you. I don't have time for that because something which is far more important to me needs the time that I can give. So we come back to the reality, God wants us to spend time with him. And that is one reason, Elder, he designed the seventh day so that once every week, he knows some of us are so busy, and we're not saying it is correct. We don't have time for anything else in the week. But on the Sabbath day, we are to lay aside everything else and spend quality time with God. So when we come to church, it's about the worship. Yes, it's about all of these things. But more so, it is time to spend time with God, fellowship with the brethren, strengthen each other, encourage each other, and learn how to prepare for glory. I see two hands are up. I take those two hands, and then I'll allow Sister McLean to come. Sister, let me take Sister, Sister first, and then Sister Louise. Yeah, man, you first.
Okay, something just came back to my mind when you talk about the spending time. I remember years ago when we used to, like, after we have our lunch, we used to go through the lesson study, and I don't see it happening anymore. But somebody had brought it to my attention recently that Ellen White actually encourages us to take that time so we don't, you know, sometimes you can be having conversations and you can be saying things on the Sabbath that is not holy or heavenly, right? So I think that we need to bring in back that where we can really go through the lesson study after lunch up until Bible class time. I think that would be a good thing.
Beautiful. And I do remember some years ago, as you said that, this thing just came back to me earlier speaking. A couple of years ago, I remember offering my time to do mentorship with some of the same thing, youth of the church, but I wasn't taken on. So unfortunately, it may kind of just allow things to slide again. But you're quite correct. This is what used to happen in the old days. The men, and people keep on reminding themselves, the men, the senior men like myself in the church would take the young men and the ladies, young girls in the church and guide them in the Bible so that they learn and grow and develop strength. So, yes, we can bring it back. But what I notice sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes the youth are here, but I think some may be outside right now. But you get the point. But thank you. Very important observation. We need to bring it back, and we need to encourage them. And sometimes, like even though it don't make sense, you're going to tell them to come in because they don't want to come in. They have other interests right now. But when we speak to them individually, sometimes, Elder Clunis, it works a little better. Yes, Sister Louise.
Check, for instance, why have you accomplished this thing? And you wake up early, like you left out 5 o'clock in the morning. When we come back, we study the quarterly. When you come back, it's too late, you can't study the quarterly. And the whole week ends, and you don't get to study the quarterly. So can you imagine you're drifting because you don't know what's in the quarterly now? You don't gather nothing, and all your mind is to gravitate for what you say you want to accomplish. So you know why you gone? So you feel find time now and say, you know what? You better have me study the quarterly before me left out, because when we go there and we come back, the time now go there, so it don't make sense.
And that's another very important point while we talk about time. And thankfully, right now, one of the good things that happen in my present living condition is that we get up early and our attention goes into the Word. As a key point you make, and I'm going to expand on that. If we are going to leave things till when we come back at the end of the day, believe me, not going to happen. Because when you come home, after all this stressful situation of the day, on the minibus, the taxi, and the whoever, when you reach home, you're so frazzled. The only thing you want is bed. And so you forget God. And you may just say, quick, thank you, God, and you go show them yourself, and that's it. Jesus spent quality time with his Father all night or early morning. The biblical record tells us that, no question about it. So if we want to have this lasting relationship with God, we must spend quality time, and let us do it early in the morning. Thank you very much. Sister McLean will now pilot us through some in-house matters, and then we will continue.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here. I would like everybody to get a tithe envelope. Elder, can you help me make sure everybody gets a tithe envelope? Take out your pen, your pencil, and you're going to write on it sample. You're going to write all the little notes that I give you now, so that when you're filling out, you're returning your tithe, you know what to do. So I'm going to share with you my experience, give you the theory, and also give you the experience. Now, as you get your envelopes, you can go on listening to me. How did the tithing and offering system come about? God implemented that years ago, and it is his way of reminding us that he is the source of every blessing. All right? But way back then, those tithes and offering were intended to support the clergy, because you know the clergy then didn't work. Their job was to ensure that the persons kept close to God, that the persons observe the "Thus said the Lord," all the commandments from way back then. And we in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, we adopted it. You know that there are other churches that the pastor or the ministers, they refer to them, they have to work for their living. They have to work for their living because the church does not support them. And what happens as a result? Just close your eyes and think about it. If you're a pastor, have to work for his living, separate and apart from what he does through the church. What happens? The quality of what he gives, the quality of his service will be compromised. Why? Because he haven't picked them to go to school. He have to keep roof over his head. He have to look after his family and things like that. So he won't have all that time to spend to feed God's flock. He won't be able to do that. So we, the Adventist Church, we have adopted the Levitical model that was implemented by God way back when. So all pastors can spend time to visit their members. They can spend time in evangelism. They can spend time to conceptualize programs that will enhance the work of the church. So it is the tithe and the offering that does so. God commanded it, and one of the benefits of it, it rids God's children of greed and covetousness. St. Luke 12, verse 15. Can somebody find that quickly for me? St. Luke 12, verse 15. Jesus had said that to somebody. St. Luke 12, verse 15. And somebody else find Malachi 3, verse 10. Quickly for me, please. Some find St. Luke 12, verse 15. Anybody else found it? Thank you so much, Elder. So no matter how much we have and we scrape and everything, you see somebody with something, you want it. Not necessarily need it, just want it, because especially if somebody else has it, you want it. So Jesus is saying, be careful of covetousness, right? The substance of a person's life is not in the abundance of what he has. Because sometimes we get the things, and then as soon as we get that, the desire goes because we have achieved that. So we're striving now for something more. And at the end of the day, it doesn't make you happy. Malachi 3, verse 10.
Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it.
All right. So God has given an instruction. Bring the tithe, come to his storehouse. They bring it, come. Some people were saying, so suppose I come into the church with my tithe, and I see somebody out there that need money. Don't can give the tithe? Can we do that? God specifically says bring it to the storehouse. So it comes here, and then it is disseminated. When it comes here to us, I can't touch a tithe. I'm just the agent of the tithe. It goes straight on to the conference. I'm just the agent. So don't think when you come to church with a tithe, it means that it stays here. It moves to the next level. I'm just the agent. All right? So what Malachi 3 verse 10 tells us, we are proving God's faithfulness. All right? It develops positive character traits. It makes us less selfish, more neighborly, considerate, and honest. And it teaches us to manage our budget. Makes us honest. Why do I say make us honest? Some people have not accepted the fact that they're to tithe on their gross. They are still arguing that they didn't get it in their hand. So they can't give what they didn't get in their hand. For example, your NHT benefit. You don't get it in your hand, but what is the benefit of paying into the NHT fund? You can get a house, don't it? And you can get home improvement. So it is still a benefit to you. You're still shortchanging God. So the fact that you don't get the money in your hand to spend, but you get it down the road, even if you don't get to use it. At retirement, they give you back everything with interest. And every 7th year, you get back what you paid in the 7 years ago. So there's a benefit to you. So that is no excuse. That doesn't make sense. That's irrational. You're trying to justify. That such a person is trying to justify, not returning. So the whole thing about covetousness, God said you must give it to him. All right? And then, or return it to him, not give it to him. Return it because it's his, 100%. And he gives you 90, I say, give me 10. And you're objecting to giving him 10. What does it show? When we are unfaithful in returning our tithes and our offering, it shows what? Theft. You're stealing from God. Can you imagine it's the worst person to thief from, Mercy. You get what you call what? A big hole in the bottom of your tread bag. And so you think you win. And so you're losing 100% loss because when you turn around, you can't find the money. Because what? You have stolen from God. Wrong person. You lose out on the additional and the extra blessings. He says what? Prove me. He'll open the windows of heaven and pour out for you. So you're going to prove him. And do you know of God being anything other than faithful? He's the faithful God. So if him tell you, say, I'm going to bless you, you know, say, I'm going to bless you. How many persons has ever proved, how many of you have ever proved God being faithful in that? That you give him a tithe, and they give him the 10%, return his tithe, the 10% on your gross. And when you then say, mercy, what a window, what a window. And then what happened? He opens the window. Sometimes you don't pay a tithe, they can't afford to go to market. You have to just pick up a little thing along the road on the side. But before you go pick up anything along the road, once you pay it over, you find somebody come to church and say, some have a hand a banana for you. We bring red banana. And somebody bring 2 coconuts for you. And when you start put dollar value to those little gifts that you get, God has been more than faithful. If you're the thief, the money and go market, go buy you and carry home so many things. Sometimes you go home, you lean in one side with the amount of things where you get bread, fruit, pepper, and whatever else that there is. So prove him. Take the bet. He's betting you. I said, take the bet and see if come out and say, boy, God is true, And that does what? That builds up, and there's you to him. Well, you're already endeared to him, but it makes you understand further that he doesn't lie. He doesn't lie, and he's a man of his word. All right? So you don't want to lose out on the additional benefits. And what did he say in verse 11? He said something in verse 11. And people who plant are especially afraid of this. He rebuked the devourer for our sake. Don't you want that to happen, Elder Clunies? You don't want the devourer come near your farm or anything. So you pay up your tithe. Because you find you have plants and the insect them eating out your gungo peas or your plant, and look forward to have gungo peas, rice and peas at Christmas. And you lose on all of that. And on top of that, you lose that, and what else he says? You are what? You're cursed with a curse. That part is in it, isn't it? You're cursed because you're thief from God. My father used to have an expression, thief from thief, God love, but I don't think it works that way. Right? So, please, don't be guilty of stealing from the Lord. God, he provides for us. If you reflect back what he did with our four parents, Adam and Eve, what did he do? He created the environment for them before he put them in there. So it was never his intention to shortchange his children. Never. Never. Right? We just wants the best for us. So always remember that. So, let us look together at the tithe envelope. Page 1, which is the front part. This part, I regard this as page 1. What's the purpose? 3 things I want to point out to you. It identifies what this envelope is all about. It has to do with the tithe and the offerings. All right? It identifies also that it's a Seventh-day Adventist document. And it also identifies the conference in which, or to which this envelope is attached. So if you look at all the tithe envelopes in Jamaica, EJC is a little different from ours. West Jamaica is different. Northeast Jamaica. So you can know exactly where the envelope is to go. All right? You know where the envelope it is to go. And there is also the address of the conference. Now, when we have crusades, we always say to the persons at the tent or wherever the crusade ground is, what is one of the things that we always say to them? What do we always say to them? Write your church on it. Write your church on it. And that's why they have local church. And for you to put your church on it. And separate and apart from crusades, sometimes you find that persons visit. You visit, other persons visit a particular church. But they have their tithe and offering with them and they don't want to take it home. So what they do, they just put their church, their home church, that they intend to benefit from the offerings that are inside, because the tithe goes straight to the conference. So when they do that, when it goes to the treasury, they know how to handle it. They don't open it once they see it is for another church. It goes straight off to the conference. And the conference will do what they do, take what the tithe that belongs to them, and all the offerings that belong to that person's home church, they send it to their account. And then the church gets a little note that so has been lodged to their account. So you don't have to feel that when you go to another church to worship, that conference gets all of your money. And no. Or if you send the money to there, once you indicate, they will send it to your home church as you have specified. They take their tithe and what is for them, and then the rest remains or is sent off to the church involved. Okay, page 2. Page 2 is the one that is headed Personal Giving Plan. Personal Giving Plan. Now, it is intended that when you are returning your tithe and giving your offering, that is not supposed to be a hurry, come up, hasty process. You are to sit down and think about it. As I said earlier, the tithe is based on the gross income. Nowadays, we don't do much farming. Or if we farm, we sell and get money for it. So what we remit is money to the conference through the church. So it tells you how to break it out. You look at it. It says the personal giving plan. So the tithe is how much percent? 10% of gross. So right beside the 10%, write gross for me. Write gross. Say no, it's not the net. It's the gross. And you understand why we say it's gross, right? Understand why? Right. Elder Daly and I and Sister Babs, we all earn the same pay. We are SEG1 employees with the government of Jamaica. And our salary is $1,000 each. All right, I get mine in my hand. All of it after them take out income tax. Elder Daly, on his paper, you will see $1,000 less $200 for Kuna, say Kuna, a credit union. All right, $200 for credit union, so I leave him what, $800. NHD loan, and every month him have to pay what? $300. Yes? So that is 2, and that is 3, that's 5. So leave him with how much? $500. All right, so I'm going to say, okay, $500 is a pay. I'm going to remit my tithe. And he gives $50. Is that allowed? I get the same money, $1,000. How much I have to remit? $100, don't it? But the two of you get the same pay. Miss Millicent, she paying insurance and she paying money to the bank, right? And she sends off $800. So all she have to leave her $200. So it is a difficult time for her. She's scratching her head. How are we going to manage? And she's putting in how much money inside? $20. No. All of us get the same pay. So you see what happens, brethren? You see the confusion that ensues as a result, and all of we get the same pay. So it can't be that, right? You look at your goals, because money is taken out for your personal matters, for your issues, your credit union and your different things, your NHT. You can't, that's not God's fault. He gave you a job that you earn $1,000, all right? And I want to tell you something too. You see, because we're covetous and we stay bad, the government of Jamaica, man-made government, they don't even make you take it out and give them. They make you what? They take it out at source from you. Because they know, say, hey, now you get it in your hand. You're not giving them to them at all. So they're taking it out at source. Sister Nicole.
Okay, I have a question. So if you have you're making $1,000 and tax come out of your pay, is it still, for example, is it after the tax the 10% should come out?
Before.
Or before?
BT, before tax.
Oh, so if it's $1,000, then I need to take out the $100
right.
and, okay, I got it.
BT,
Nice.
before tax.
Okay.
It's not 80. Yes. All right. So the first thing is our tithe. And then just below that we see what? Covenant offering allocation. Now the covenant offering takes in both the church, the local church, and the conference. And what they say, the local church is to retain 60%. So let's say covenant offering is $600. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, right. All of the allowances. Yes, all of the allowances too. All of the allowances. Some things are reimbursable. Like if you travel and you have to buy your gas, and if you have a traveling post, and if you travel and you buy your gas, and they're giving you back your gas, then that is reimbursable. That would not come up for tithe. But those that you earn without anything, straight up, right? You pay on that. But like traveling, when it is reimbursed, that's a little different, because you don't increase from it as a result, because you've had to pay the toll, you have to buy the gas and whatsoever. Especially if your job is a job that you need to travel. So that is a part of the reimbursable to keep you afloat. Okay? So the covenant offering now, whatever you decide to give as covenant offering, ideally, it is anticipated that you'll give at least a third into a quarter of what you return as tithe to give that as your offering. There's no hard and fast percentage. But you know, when God good to you and you love in your heart just a boil up for him, you just go and just give, because that's where the blessing is, you know, in the offering. Because he did not legislate how much you are to give him. It's as a result of how you feel about him. Right? The more you love him, and you just give it to him and you don't complain, because he gives back to us and don't complain. So that is what happens in the covenant offering. But we say, ideally, give a quarter. Ideally, give a quarter as your covenant offering. And that amount that you give is divided 60% for the church, your local church, your home church, and that is how they use it. For your church expenses, your Sabbath school expenses, that's how it is used. Everything is here on the local church. 60%, that's how it is used in your local church. And then the other 40% is shared equally for conference-wide development and world mission offering. The conference-wide development stays locally, it stays in your home country. And they use it now to support your schools, your campsites, radio like NCU, and to buy land to raise up churches. That's what they use it for. That's why they call it conference-wide development. It develops your conference. All the parishes inside their conference, they benefit from it. So NCU is within our conference, they benefit from it. They get a subvention from it. Radio as well. And School Willowdene gets something from it because they're in Central Jamaica Conference. So all the institutions that are within the conference, they benefit from it. 20% is shared up among all of them. Not each institution gets 20%, you know. But 20% of that money is shared up among all of them. And then world mission offerings. These are the areas: Sabbath School, Mission, Disaster Relief Fund, that's ADRA, Adventist World Radio, 13 Sabbath, Birthday Thank, Week of Sacrifice, and Voice of Prophecy. So I know those ministries, they are not limited to Jamaica. They are worldwide. So those now go far afield to help. All right? So make sure you write down these things on your thing, you know, so you don't forget. So that is the overview of what we put in the envelope thing. 10% for the tithe, we can't touch that. That stays and goes to the conference. We are just the agent of that. It goes straight to the conference, represents 10% of your gross. The offering that you give, the covenant offering, is shared up 60% to the local church, 20% for conference-wide development, and that is locally within the home country, and then the remaining 20% is for world mission. I see hands. Yes, Sister Shirley? Sister
not Shirley. Yes, Shirley also, but that's a pet one. I just want to understand this, not going contrary, but if one should say then their 10% of their tithes is $1,000, but they just include the $1,000 but did not return offerings and so like. But
sorry, you just include what?
For instance, your tithes, the 10%, it is $1,000. So you place that in the tithes envelope. You did not put an offering, a free will offering or anything like that. But weekly or whenever, you keep dropping your offering in the tithes envelope or in the offering bag or your Sabbath school. Could you explain that if there's any shortage in that, or it is okay to do it like that, or otherwise to place everything for that period in which your earning would come in? If it's okay, whether to put it right there at the time of tithing, or you can just place the tithe there, and along the way, through the weeks, you can put your offering otherwise in the tithe, in the offering bag.
When you return money, when the offering bag is passed around and you put money in it, that is called loose offering. And that loose offering is shared 60% to the local church, 20% for conference-wide development, and 20% for mission. Stand up.
Is there any provocation or disregard in any way if then one is enveloping the tithes, but you did not put that free will offering for the rest of the allocations in where that offering should be. But one should put it in that offering bag or into the Sabbath School bag. Is there any breach in doing so?
Sabbath School money is different. If I'm not understanding.
I think what she's saying is that you have the tithe that you return,
Yes.
but she has been putting offerings in the bag and not associated with the tithe. Does that count for returning offering or not? I think that's what she's saying.
Well, that is subjected. I won't know if you return it or not. I'm just saying what happens to it when you put it in there. It cannot be linked to you. It will have to be between you and God, that part of it. I can only speak to what and say what you return in your tithe envelope. I don't know what you put in the bag or who puts what in the bag.
So in other words, it would be best for her to put it in the envelope along
Yes,
with the tithes.
that's why they call it a personal giving plan. And and if you look on page 3, which is where I'm going to go next, page 3, where you have the various things now, where you have your name and address, and your unit number, your class unit number, and the date. And there now, you determine where you want it to go. So if at a later date, I see your hand, sis. If at a later date you want to check something, you can come and check. But when you drop in the bag, it's like you're lost in a crowd. You can't say, right? You can't say anything. You can't check back anything. If you wasn't sure if you did drop it, I can't help you with that. But if you put it in the envelope and you come back to me, I can look for the envelope and tell you what you did.
To investigate on the matter of the use of your offering in which you put in the bag that goes around, because you would not know who responsible for that department, what I put or anyone put. That would be a total sum of everybody.
Right.
But I won't go any further because if we continue on this, we won't go any further.
Yep.
Yes, sis.
Go ahead,
All right.
sister.
Go
Yes,
ahead.
sis.
Okay, so I just want to make a point that there's a scripture that says that we ought to give, I think it was a 10% based on our increase.
Yes.
So apart from your salary that you receive at the end of the month or your wages or whatever, if the Lord bless you with an extra $10, I'll just put in a $10, we're supposed to give 10% of that as the tithe.
Yes.
Right, so it's not necessarily a salary. So if you do a side job, 10% of all that you have received. If somebody give you a gift,
Yes.
unless it is to do something specific, as you had mentioned, that if you're for traveling, you would have used up to your money, so you get back that
your
money,
right.
which you would have already tithed from that money. So whatever it is, the increase is, that's what we give our
Right.
10% from. And the offering now, it based on, well, I don't know what you would say, but I think it's based on what the Lord has rested on your heart
Right.
to give. Because sometimes you really give above your budget, sometimes you give below. But it depends on the relationship
Right.
and how you view the Lord matters.
Right. So it's your relationship with the Lord. Suppose, you know what I used to do? I used to pay a little extra based on the day. When I used to work, I used to pay a little extra. When I don't invest it, Sister Millie, what I used to do, I used to give a little extra based on the fact that I go home every day. I go to work and go home and nobody don't lick me and I don't lick nobody. I used to, just for that, you know, and thank God, say, God, thank you, I never lick anybody. Or sometimes I come here's bread, I never lick him. He never come out and go and threaten me. And, you know, for that, those are good things. And the extra things that the Lord does for you, you do it. And as you say, sister, it's based on your increase. So you get a nice pair of shoes. You say, boy, your shoes at Jamaica, 4,000, 5,000. So you give a little, you give your tithe on it. You give your tithe on it. Some of us who are at the age where we get NIS, we do return tithe on it. You know, some of us will do that. Yes, sis.
All right, so the same thing that she's having an issue with. I got a question about it the other day.
Yes.
As it relates to putting the offering in the tithe envelope, Malachi 3:8 asks the question, will a man rob God? And it says in tithes and in offering.
Yes.
Now the offering that is on the tithe envelope, what I explained to the person is that when I put my tithe in, there is that offering that the Lord rests on me to give that I give along with my tithe. That is different from when you take money and put in that bag that comes around in your class, or when they are collecting tithe and offering. If you are impressed to give another
Yes.
offering, then that's up to you.
Yes.
But there is something that you have to put along with the tithe in the tithe envelope that has to go to treasury. The loose one is additional.
Right.
That's how I understand.
Right.
Yes,
It
if I
is.
may, a follow-up
Sure.
to that point, because that's a very important point we're raising here. And Sister Esther was making the point. Let us say we have 50 persons in the church. They return the tithe in the envelope, and they return the offering in the bag. There's no way that the treasury can account for any of that. Because what is going to happen is that you're going to have 50 times plus whatever was given. So maybe let us say we have $10,000 collected in the bag. It has nothing to do with you or any one of us. Because if you come to me and say, I put $20 in, I don't know. So what we're saying, and the point is, I'm glad you raised the point because it's very important. So if you want the accountability that you did do that, then it needs to be recorded as such. And the only thing that we ever can have for that record is the tithe envelope. So if you're honest and you're clear and you're doing quite well with that, but we will never know. Of course you know, and it's between you and God, and that's all right. But if you want us to be able to report to you, as Sister was making, we can't report to you what we don't know. So if there's no indication on the envelope to say this came from you and it's in the big pool, all the pool has is the money. No attachment to any particular person. So anytime you want something to be referred back to you, it must come through the tithe envelope because there's no other way. We are not going to assume that a Sister Cheryl put this in there or a sister. We can't know that. We'll never ever know that. And we shouldn't go that route. But I'm saying if you really want the accountability that I think you're asking for, then that's what we have to do. And it's best because for good practices, it's best. Yes, sister. Sister down there has her hand up.
Yes, I have a quick question, just clarity. For the offering, let's say that I want to throw same $1,000. Should I be breaking it down, or will the treasury break it down for you between the 60 and the 40%?
Good question again.
We break it down automatically. As the
Awesome.
program we use, and I'm going to tell you about a new program that we're going to get onto, it breaks it down automatically. So you put your gross amount for the offering, and we break it down, the 60, 20, 20.
Okay, and just to confirm here, another question, because we're discussing it just now. So let's say that you earn $1,000 for your gross, right? And you earn extra money for the month. You already throw your tithes and offering like $100 already, and you earn extra money. That means your 10% increase, so you throw the difference to say that it's a part of the 10%, correct?
You can put them together.
No, what if you throw it already?
If you put it already, yes.
So you add it and...
So the next cycle of payments, then you account for it.
So for example, if it's $200 more, I just write $20 as the 10% additional.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Sister Millie.
While growing up, I always hear about thank offering. Where does that come in now? Because take for instance, and I see birthday here, people can give birthday thank offering. Take for instance,
this person is in dire need of a pair of shoes, can't afford to buy a pair of shoes, but somebody gave, should that person, given this situation, not being able to buy the shoes, price, put a price on the shoes and give a tithe, or just return a thank offering?
There's nothing prescribed as for thank offerings. Like person with a birthday, you want to give a birthday offering. God, you're good to me, I didn't know I would live so long. And because you're good, nice to me, you've been so good to me, your blessings running after me, and you give a $5,000. That birthday offering goes into the 60-40 bracket. You have to return on that, right? And of course, you would have had to have returned it on this for me to be able to do that, because I wouldn't know otherwise. So everything boils down to a personal thing, But as it is, let me tell you some of the offerings that they say you pay. The annual special offering. Now notice, this is annual. You don't have to apply, send it every week or every month. It's annual, all right? Sometimes they launch something, or it's like at the end of the year when you get a bonus, and you want to return an offering at that, it's annual special offering. Now, before they used to collect everything at the conference. Now they say that we can get 60% of it. So 40% goes to the conference and 60% stays here. Notice, anything that comes after covenant offering, it's under special projects. Special projects, all right? So these are the projects. You want to give a annual special offering, as I said, bonus. Your bonus come in, and you want to give an offering out of that, it goes there. Monthly, some persons determine that they will give something to education at Central Jamaica, that is administered by Central Jamaica, it goes right there. Wheel, you know what wheel is for, right? Welfare, health, education, and what is it for? I think there's something in there for entrepreneurship. Like you have your own little business and you want an injection of capital, you can apply to them for it. All right, that's for special projects. Anything that persons, and for, I said health already, anything that is given on the wheel, we get 50% of that we use here for community services. So every quarter, every 3 months, whatever we register on the wheel, and whatever you give under community services, and whatever comes from the budget, Community Services Department gets that to use to do packages and different things for persons. So we don't spend it arbitrarily, it goes back into community services. All right? They take 85, and they say we can take 15. So if we get like 50,000, we may get about 7,000 that will plow back into our community services. NCU projects, we can pay there, for, especially if we are graduates of NCU, and we want to ensure that our alma mater doesn't suffer too much for lack of funds. We can put our little funds there, part of education. And then the Children's Village Project. A lady came here not so long ago and promoted it. So if you want like a children's home that is administered by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, right, you put your money there. All right, and other. Now some people are adamant that they want their offering to stay here. And I don't mind you saying that, because it helps us to be more, to be able to provide better for you in terms of our facilities and buying our quarterlies and things like that, and meeting our expenses. So some persons want to put something for the family of God expense, explicitly for that. The 60-40, in the 60, they say 60 is for our expense too. But they want to give a little extra to accommodate our expense. And so there's a other, and any other little thing that you think you want to contribute to. So in that space of other, you write what it's for. Don't leave it blank. Write what it's for. If you wanted to stay here at Family of God, just write Family of God beside our FOG, beside it, and put it there. So it becomes part of the pool of funds we use to deal with our expenses here. All right? So this, you put what you want it to go to. Suppose you wanted to go to the children's home, the Strathmore. You know, we have a feeding program for the Strathmore. You know that? You know that? Everybody knows that? Who doesn't know that? We have 2 teams here, and there's always a team on duty. And they alternate, and we contribute to the Strathmore Gardens Children's Home. So if you want it to be used for that purpose, you want to put something in there for that. Not saying that you must ignore ours, but suppose you find like an extra you want to put there too. You can do that. And you put Strathmore, and then we'll know how to treat with it. All right? And then you do your total. Something to tell you. Sometimes individuals, they feel that they're giving for tithe, and they're giving for offering, they're giving for kuna, and they write an envelope for each one. They don't have to. As long as the space is there, you write it. So you can fill up all the spaces with all the offerings you give in. Write for tithe, write for offering, annual special offering, CJC. Some people remit enough that they complete the entire thing. And there can be just one. As long as you totally write, it's fine with me. You don't have to give me 2 or 3 different envelopes in 1 week. And let's suppose you miss church. For whatever reasons, you are weekly paid and you want to give your tithe weekly. Let's suppose the first week you weren't in church and you didn't get to return your tithe. You don't come second week either, but you come third week. You don't have to give me 3 different envelopes because I'm going to remit your money at the end of the month anyway. So you can pile them up and put them in 1 envelope. Add up all the tithe for the 3 weeks, all the covenant offering for the 3 weeks. You don't have to give me 1 for each week because you're paid weekly. Because the remittance cycle is monthly. So I make 12 remittances to them, 1 for each month. So if you get 2 pays, I suppose you get 2 fortnights within the month, and you miss 1. You don't have to give me for each fortnight. You don't have to give me for each week that you get paid. You can put it at the end of the month to be remitted in that month over to conference. We save paper, and it works out for our good. They won't have to send and want more money from us to print more envelopes. We save that little bit. All right? And then we send it off. We can bring the cash, we can bring the check, but things moving fast in the society these days. They have a thing called what? Online banking. So you can write this on your paper too. Write this on your paper. We are with it. We will not be left behind. So we facilitate online banking. Our account is in Spanish Town at the NCB. It's a checking account. And the name of the account is the Family of God SDA Church. Family of God SDA Church. And the account number, checking account, NCB, Spanish Town, name on the account, Family of God SDA Church. And the account number, ready? 47153749. I'll do it again for you. 47153749. Someone tell me when the ATM man them place pack up, you're not in them stress. You just go home and you just go on your device and sort it out. And all is well. And every week, we get a printout. As because some people do it mid-week, mid-month. And they return it at different times. But at the floodgate is at the month end, when payday, 25th and after. All right? And we have our printout. So we can see what you return. Now, some persons will still require the tithe envelope from you. So you write a date, and you write online underneath the date, and you put the allocation, what you're returning for tithe, what is for covenant offering, all the way down. And we will look for it. Now, why, if I can find it on the piece of paper where we generate each month, why won't you give me paper? Because sometimes I get a block figure, and I don't know how to allocate it. I see $30,000 for Sister Eileen. But Sister Eileen don't give me her envelope. I don't know how it must go. So you know me going to put everything under FOG, don't it? Don't it? Fair enough? Because FOG has the expenses. But don't do that to me. Don't, and then there's what conference says, when you get an envelope, on which a person does not specify the allocation. What they say? What do you think them say? It is assumed that all of it is tithe. And I know you don't mean that, you know. Right, Miss Marjorie? When you put all of that figure, and you put X amount for tithe, and there's a little over, I don't think you meant for all of it to be tithe. I think you meant that some is to stay here. But please, they won't audit me, and I don't want to get a bad record. I want to still have the halo around my head. So do help me. Write the difference in the column you want it to be. Please, please. Because it may be that you have that for tithe, but you want it to go on the covenant offering. I won't know. Because I see I may think this lady is just making sure that the AC keeps going, and you want to put it on the FOG. I may be wrong. Yes? But please, be nice to me and don't leave me with that decision. You write it there. You hear? Please, you write it there. And please also write your name. Please write your name on it. All right? Write the name on the front part. If you don't want to write your address, that's fine. But definitely your name and the date. And write your tithe and write whatever else, if there's going to be. Because if there's an extra, I'm duty bound to report it as your total amount has been tithe. Or at the very least, a covenant offering. I can't do otherwise. Unless you tell me, you know, Sister Esther, when you say, Sister Joan, am I considering that what? I heard you, sis, and I look. Somebody suggested it before, you know, but it is more things to monitor. And brethren, enough work on the treasury. Because not only will I need to reconcile the NCB one, I need to reconcile the Scotia too. And then at least the conference I got to get a checkbook or be able to do the online banking for Scotia. So it means we have to get more people on board for monitor this thing. At one time I was going to get what do you call it now, the machine. Yeah, the machine that you can, if you forget and want to give tithe, can run the machine. But at the end of each month, I have to balance it. It's more work. You know what I mean? And when the auditors come, there's more things for her to look for and to fuss and say, Sister McLean, so and so and so. And I love the Lord and I love to do His work. But we must remember that it's still balance. And remember too that it's voluntary, so we don't want to spread. If I can get some more,
if it is a matter that you're considering that it's going to take a little while because bank to bank, same bank, most of us know, you can get your transaction done in basically the same day. But transactions from another bank to another bank usually takes a day or two. So if you're looking at a time factor, which is, I don't know if that's why you raise the question, but if you have a BNS account and you send the money transferred to the church account, it's not going to take the same time as the same bank. So if you're thinking of a time factor, you have to give yourself a little allowance. So maybe about 24 hours, 48 hours. Usually, it should move from one bank to the next bank. So I don't know if that's what you're thinking. But at the moment, since the church just operates one account, let's stick with it until the board or whatever else decide that maybe we need to go to the other, to another institution for banking purposes. Is that clear? By the way, did my sister, was there another hand up there? Somebody had another question for? You had a question? Okay. You did? Did you have another question? Observation. You're free to make the observation. I think I saw your hand. All right, and then you can.
All right. As a child growing up, I was taught that the tithe envelope is sacred. Is it still considered that way in the church?
Yes.
Reason being is that persons use it to do anything. If you're like giving a friend $1,000 and you don't want anybody to see,
you put it
you
in there.
stick it down in there and give it to them. I was taught that it's supposed to be used for the sole purpose that it was intended for. Also, back then, the envelope, that is as a receipt.
Right.
I'm not seeing that happening in the church much. I don't know if it still continues. Is it still in?
All right, I'm going to tell you something now, sis. Thank you for that. We tried, years ago, we tried to give it back. We put them in order and put all the names together. And we made a big announcement. Come for your receipt. How many people come and see it? My brother Leon, he was here earlier, don't it?
He passed through.
Yes. I would say, come for your tithe envelope. I would stamp it and everything, and the treasurers them sign it. Looking for roast breadfruit. Nobody would come for that thing. The box was still in there. And Brother Leon said, if you don't want to, if it's a funny business, we talk to God about it. And nobody came for it. But guess what now? You know, our church is a forward-thinking church, you know. We're keeping up with the times. Adapting it in a positive way for our operations. There is a program, a platform that the Seventh-day Adventist Church worldwide has designed, especially for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. It's called the Ecclesia 7, ECCLESIA, ecclesia7.net. So we were on computer a long time. Before people dare think about computer, we were on it already. But we have to review how we do things. Sorry. The conference has this, and part of all that we do now, they are doing it on it now. What goes for Kuna, what goes for this, and we can add different departments that people want to give to. And they, you know, it automatically does the the addition and the subtractions and so on. Reports are generated. One of the benefits, the additional benefits, is that we want, and I'm going to come around to you for it, because I'm starting it in January. We're doing a dry run this month, and then January going on full time. We want to get the email address of the members. Why? Because when you remit your money each month, the report is done, it automatically sends you a receipt for your money. So you will be able to know that your money was received and processed. So I want to start that in January. I've been trying to get it done for a couple of years now, but I've met upon a number of roadblocks. I've been praying to God about it, and I think I have a solution. He has sent somebody, and we're going to be working on it. We're going to do a dry run this month, and come next year, we're going to be on it full time. So just put your email address. Some persons, they don't want their information to go on. It's your choice. It's up to you. But otherwise, I won't be able to. There won't be a receipt printed for you. Right? There won't be a receipt printed for you. So a receipt can be done once you give the email address, and it's on the system. I will add your name to the list. Your email address will be there, and it will send out to you a receipt for your payment. So that's something that you can consider. You know, but I'm going to make the request for the email addresses. Some I've already got and I put on the system because I started it. But we're going to finalize, and we're going to start using it. So come January, we won't be newbies and rookies anymore. We'll be good at it, and we'll see the benefit. The board will be able to generate reports, right? The pastor will be able to look and see, and you know, you can go back in time to see when you paid, what you paid, and all of that, and how much went to the conference, and they can check on it. And then the auditor over there won't have such a hard time with me. The only problem they will have is that they will want to get the envelopes now to match it on what they have as their record. All right? And all of that too does the bank recon, everything it does for us. So it is a really, you know, helpful platform they have set up, and we want to benefit to use it. Elder Lawrence is encouraging us as the treasurer over conference, to the extent that some churches are getting a little help up to buy their computer for that purpose, you know, treasury purpose of it. All right, I don't know if there's anything. Have I shared everything with you? Do you feel yourself more knowledgeable now as to how your money is processed? Do you feel yourself more au fait with what is expected as you return your tithe and offering, and so on? So if you're absent 3 weeks, how many envelopes are you supposed to return? 1 envelope. All right? When you get your pay, how do you calculate your tithe? On the gross that you're getting. All right? Do you know which offerings go to the conference? Tell me 2 offerings that go to the conference. Or shared between us and the conference. Thank offering, birthday offering, investment. Thank offering, birthday offering, investment. What else? Wheel, annual special offering. Do we get anything out of wheel? Does the local church get anything out of wheel? What do they get out of wheel? How much percentage? How many? 15%. Does the local church get anything out of the annual special offering? Miss Eileen, local church get anything out of the annual special offering? Yes. We get 60%. We get 60% of the money from the annual special offering. Is the annual special offering supposed to be every month annually? It's supposed to be what? It's annual. It's just like if you get your bonus. If you get like a bonus and you want to return of your bonus, you can do that. If during the month you get a little, you get that. Some companies pay incentive. When you do extraordinarily well in your collections or whatever, maybe every half year you get a little extra, you can put it there. All right? But if you're comfortable dividing it up and pay it every month, but I'm just saying, the alternative. All right? Anything you want to ask? That's it? Suppose you get a pretty dandan. I get a nice dress, Sister Dawn, that for my birthday, I will showcase it next week. Right? This is what? The first Sabbath? The 3 Sabbaths of Christmas coming up. And I'm going to showcase my pretty dandan. So what am I supposed to do about that pretty dandan before I come showcase it? What I must do? Put a price, bless it, and do what? Put a price on it. Yes? Suppose I can what? Guesstimate a price. Thank offering for that. Right. Right. What I do, I guesstimate because I don't know the real price. I guesstimate and thank God for the blessing and just move it along, which tantamount to the thank offering. All right? Barry will come and I thank him for it. Thank you for listening to me. I hope I made sense. I hope somebody is empowered going forward in how they make their returns. The Lord bless you. And can I tell you something? I shared it with Elder today as we were talking inside. This man, began at the low level of the scale, Sister Keys. Like, he's a government worker. Let's suppose he started as a records officer, right? RIM. And then him go school, government facilitate him go school, and him start move up in a higher category. Yes? And then now he's SEG 3. Or perhaps he's a general manager. They're talking about tax now. Let's suppose he's a general manager of one of the revenue service center. Big money with it, right? And church has a project and inviting persons to give. Come and give. Man sit down and say, I can't be giving church all my money. All this money giving church. When he was earning $100, $1,000, it was okay to give 100. When he moved up and get a couple thousands, him give her money. But then now he's earning millions, can't give church. And the pastor said, let us pray, brethren. And God, we're going to ask you that you will take this man back to the beginning where he started. Would you want that to happen to you? So in other words, he's praying for the man, but the man not handling the success very well. So since him can't remember, not saying, remind me, dear Lord, where you take me from, right? It's too much to give God. Not let him start earning big bucks. It's too much to give God. Yes, sis. Yes.
How do I pay my tithes from what I get? How do I pay my tithe there?
Well, first of all, you determine your profit. So you're going to take out, you know what you're plowing as your input, and then you sell this stuff and you know what you get back. All right, so you retrieve your input, and what you have remaining is your profit. And then based on the profit, you determine your 10%.
So I'd have to be very vigilant when I'm doing
Yes,
business.
yes,
Because I would have to know how much I plug in.
yes,
And if I take out a $50 one at a time to do my personal thing, I have to plug that back
Put
in.
it back. So it requires strict accounting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. All right. So all the little side hustles, all the little this, they come into the general coffers. God's general coffers. Yes. You know that they say that is how, come on, Elder. That is how they say that Kellogg's, because Kellogg's used to tithe and they support the different charities and they do very well. I know we still have the word Kellogg's cornflakes. Yes, they do very well. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for the feedback and the interaction.
All right, thank you very much, Elder McLean. And we covered a whole heap of ground. I'm just sorry that there are some other people who were not here who perhaps needed to get some of that in. But hopefully we will have another session, because what has happened, what I realize happening in our church from time to time, we have crusades and new members come in and they are not taught how to utilize what we just discussed. So I'm glad we had this session this afternoon. And sometimes people come in and they ask, how should we do this? Let us give them the information and make sure we have the right information to share with them. So it's very important. And yes, sister, guess your question there. What I understand is that if you're operating a business, be it large or small, you take out your operating cost, and after your operating cost, then you start to move into profit. Then that is when your tithe would chip in. All your increase after the expenses are out. All right. I think there was a comment I was about to make, but all right, we're going to move on now. So the first thing we looked at, I have 7 T's for you. 1 is gone, 6 to go. But I don't think, looking at the clock, that we'll be able to take out all 6, because I don't really want to rush. So the next one we're going to be looking at, and thank God yes, we solved the bug. Yeah, I can forward and backward as I like now. Reminds me of a story which I can't tell you now. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is the temple. Remember, we're exploring stewardship. Exploring stewardship, and we're looking at the shift. I'm going to repeat again, although we just spoke about money. Money is just a little part of stewardship. And I must make this comment because for some people, all they think about is church taking money from them. Church don't take your money. Your card come and you give it willingly or unwillingly. If you give it willingly, you get blessings. If you give it unwillingly, no blessings. Better you didn't give it. Curse, yes, a curse. That's the right word. And God is a kind of person who he knows. He say you put in a little, he makes much out of it. And you can put in a whole heap and get scattered, come to naught. So we have to be very careful how we deal with God. And it is very unfortunate that some people, when it comes to church, they are very stingy. Very stingy. And they can't give church my money. And you will go someplace and you will spend a lot of money on something. And that which you spend the money on could be better utilized in the house of God. But I'm digressing. Let me get back to this thing. You feel strongly about something, you tend to come out. All right, so we're looking now at the temple, the body temple. And we're looking at the temple, the church temple, the sanctuary. So it's a mixed package. And this morning we had a lot of talk about type and antitype and typology, whichever you want to pronounce it, this kind of thing. Shadows and representations of different things. But we're going to talk now about stewardship of the temple. And stewardship of the temple here, all the temple. The sanctuary in which we are now, the body temple, of course, and of course, by extension, the environment. Elders this morning spoke about our influence. And we live in a day when people talk about influencers and influencers and influencers and influencers, and people are happy for the kind of influence they have on people. But let us remember that any impact or any influence we have on anyone is either going to be positive or negative. So we need to be careful about the kind of influence that we have. But now to the matter at hand. 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20. Some of us know this by heart. It states that our bodies as well as our entire being belongs to God. Anybody think anything else? But I've heard a statement. Are you hearing me clearly, by the way? Hear me clearly? Hear me clearly? Okay. All right, because, okay, I wasn't sure what's going on down there. Clear? Good. Okay. What? Know ye not that your body is a temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own, for ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. And Romans 12:1 follows up with that. It has a plea. I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. So Paul encourages us also in Romans 9:27, and he said this. He said, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. And this is a text we have heard quite frequently. So, looking after our bodies involves quite a number of things. Our personal health, our personal hygiene, how we look after our mental state, which we have spoken about earlier, our physical entities, and it also, of course, has to do with our spiritual life, our emotional well-being, and it has to do with everything about us. Elder, you're gonna comment? All right, go ahead. Is the mic still down there? Go ahead. Remember, we are interactive, so once you have a point or a comment or question, do share with us. Go ahead.
I'm just thinking about what you just said a while ago, bringing your body under subjection. And I've noticed that is used almost always in reference to sexual appetite. Persons think that the only time you bring your body under subjection is where sexual interest is concerned. But at the same time, they find that they don't have enough sleep, they don't eat properly, you don't drink enough water, you don't exercise. That is also not bringing your body under subjection, because you might overwork or you overeat, or any one of those things is just as the same as if you indulge in sexual illicit sex or anything like that. It's just the same.
You're quite right. And I'm from the country, and we used to have some real hard workers in the country. And one of the unfortunate things that used to happen back then is that when it came to Sabbath, you mentioned overwork. Some of those men really worked hard. And unfortunately, some of them were up front. So by the time this service was halfway or less than halfway sometimes, they were gone. Knockout. So they were getting Sabbath rest when they should be at worship. So it's very important that we do take care of our bodies. And this is one of the things that some people decide, well, okay, I'll kill myself out for the first 20, 30 years of my life, and then after that I kick back and relax because, all of that. But I'm not sure that's the best way to go about it. But the important thing, as we are identifying this afternoon, our first priority is to take care of all our health, physical, mental, emotional, and all of that. And I'm putting in this because sometimes we find ourselves moving with some circles, which may not be the best circle to be in. We need to get rid of some persons out of our lives if we see that they're taking us down the wrong path, because that is a part of taking care of your whole being. Because, you know, some people can really drive you crazy if you're not aware of what is happening, especially now. And we don't know what's going to happen a few years from now. COVID did something to us, and Melissa is doing something else to others of us. And the condition under which some people survive now, I'm going to use the word survive, is not ideal. And many times, it is the children who are going to be among the greatest of sufferers. Some of us, we are old and we have seen this, done that, and heard this, done that, that kind of thing. But for them, it's a new experience. And they are just trying to come to terms with what is happening to them. And that is not always easy. So we are to assist them in this area. So back to looking after our bodies. It entails what? Rest. You touch it. So we need to have balanced lives. And here again, we talk about temperance. Enough sleep, enough rest. I put sleep there. I put exercise there. There's work. There's eating habits. And remember something about lazy people. We don't want to dwell on that. Personal hygiene, I did mention that. And of course, the list goes on. So we are in a position, we are the best persons to look after ourselves. But while we're looking after ourselves, we should not get to the point where well, let me go back to a statement which was made this morning in this morning's message. And this is a tough one. It says that we should esteem others above ourselves. Remember that statement? All right. And it's from the same book, the same Bible. Why should we do that? I come back to make the point that for many of us, we are going to say that nobody know better. I'm my number one. Care where nobody wants to say, I'm my number one. And we should look after number one. Because sometimes if you don't look after number one, then you can't look after number two. And you understand what I mean by that. So we need to take care of that. So this includes food for the mind. And then we are told to guard our hearts or our mind above everything else, for it determines the course of your life. And that's Proverbs 4:23. And so we have the spirit, we have the soul, we have the body, which is what we are composed of. And so we need to make sure that we are taking care of all of these. So what about the statement now? My mouth belongs to me. I feel my hand, I feel my foot. Anything I want to do. What was the first statement we read? Your body is a temple of the Holy Ghost, and therefore, I missed that. Going the wrong direction. Okay, back up, yeah. Know ye not that your body is a temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own, because we are bought with a price. And what is the price? The precious blood of Jesus Christ. So we should not be careless in how we live. And so, as I speak to you about the body temple, of course I must relate myself to all of this. If you're asking me, do I always take care of my body as I should? I think the answer would be no. But when we realize that we're not doing what we're doing, when we realize that what we're doing is not correct, what do? We make the change, and we seek for the transformation which will take us into the other realm. So I'm appealing to us. Some of us, we don't have the problem of running after other people, and we don't have the problem of fornication and adultery, and that is not our problem. We don't have the problem going to the rum bar and those things. And well, I don't think any of us have the problem of watching porn and those things. Because what I do know is that many persons who sometimes were involved in some of those things have cut those things off, because they want to have a right relationship with God. And so there are persons who used to do those things. They are cut off of that now. And the problem I hear that some people have now is they become so attached to their devices. And I'm just citing because some of us know about these things. Some time ago, somebody said, boy, I can't get the boy off of the computer at all. All at night when me asleep, him up and I don't know what's going on. Of course, as parents, we should ensure that that is not what is taking place. Because there are a lot of dirty stuff out there. And young minds will be attracted to some of these pollutants. And so, which of course will be leading down the wrong path. So as parents, we do have the responsibility, if that is identified in our homes or where we are, and we can assist in cutting those out, then of course we should do that, because the responsibility is still ours, not only to help ourselves, but also to help others. Are we together? Are we good? All right. I know we're now pretty close to set of sun, and some of you are tired and weary. You've been here from morning, and some of you came late, so you don't have anything to say. If you come late, you should go home late. All right, that's another matter. On I hear talk about board meeting. All right. So Paul said he's controlling his body because he didn't want to be a good preacher and all of that, and then in the end he lose out himself. So he says, I'm going to make the effort. And you know, Paul did it because at the end of his life, what did he say? There we go. Wonderful. He said it. Okay, so this is the last one I think I'll touch for this afternoon. Talent. Talent. So we are now at the third T, talents. All right. There are several ways we can view talent. And while I was talking earlier this afternoon, it came to me. You remember that parable about the man with the one talent? And I was thinking about it this evening, and you can guide me. We're exploring, so we're not, saying that this is this or this is not that, or it's casting concrete stone or whatever. But it just struck me this afternoon that the man who got one talent, maybe in a sense it was referring to time, in a sense. Because this is the thing, everybody gets at least one talent. And I guess maybe that's the talent to start with. But I go back to make the point, though, where talent is concerned, that everybody, time and talent, everybody gets the same number of hours in a day. Whether you're rich or you're poor, everybody gets the same number of hours. Or so it's what you do with the hours. Prove me wrong, somebody. All of you not get the same. Because God give that man millions and he give that one $2. But we can't say that God give one man less time than the other. We all get the same 24 hours per day. And we'll be accountable to that. Having made that point now, let's look at talent again. Talent can be viewed in different ways because there are different meanings to it, and you all know that. It can be described as an innate gift or aptitude which comes naturally. This can be developed, whatever it is, and it is closely associated with skills, which is something one can learn to do well. So some people have a gift of the gab, some people are good mechanics, some people are good singers, some people are good talkers, some people are good musicians, skillful on playing instruments, all of those things, part of your talent, all right? In the Bible, Jesus told of persons being given talents and how they were utilized. And we have that in Matthew 25, verse 14 to 30. You can check your Bibles and look at the details of that. Now let's look at talent back then. And this is from the Google research and some other things. They tell us that one talent, according to sources, range from being at least $500,000 to $1 million US. So what God gave to each of those persons was significant money. Now if it was Jamaican money, we could have said never not much. But when you peg it to the US, $500,000 US, boy, some of us would be glad right now if even $500,000 Jamaican. We're not going to say like, not true. Some of us, no, don't need that or don't want that. But if some of us had $500,000 Jamaican dollars right now, we'd feel good. And some of us would know what to do with it. Another matter that. Sorry if I don't sound right. But okay, so $500,000 US to $1 million US dollars. The message that he wants to give is this. His message was clear. we are not only of value to God, but we are of great value. We are stewards in his image, and we are given enough to generate tremendous value. Another source estimates that the talent is equivalent to 20 years of one laborer's, work for one whole year, and that is what you would get. That is one talent. So there are different ways to look at this talent thing. So we can see that when God gave this one man, the man one talent, he wasn't giving him man something which had no value. He was giving him something of great value. And so when that man took that talent and buried it, he was really doing himself a disservice. Because I know some of us, if some of us even got $100,000, we'd turn it around and make millions in no time. Some of us, right? And of course, there are others of us who would mess it up. But that's not the point. The point is, God gives us what he knows we can handle. So Jesus uses the parable to show what can be achieved when faithfulness and a sense of duty prevails. This is contrasted with covetousness, doubt, and fear, as exhibited by the person who brought excuses. So when Jesus came to remember, I said, okay, where's your talent to give you? And he said, what did he look at? Look at it. See it right here? He claimed he was afraid because he knew that the investor, that's the master, wanted him to be accountable. And we can view verses 24 to 27 and make our comments. Let us not miss the important point in verse 27. And look at it. You see what the point is. He said, listen, since you know that I'm a hard man, and you know that I want what I never give you, then the least you could have done was put the money in the bank, make little interest grow on it, so when I come back, I would get it plus. So it is showing that this man was extremely covetous and stingy because he didn't want the man to profit from his labor. You see the thing? And this is very important and very serious. So Jesus was saying, since you know, and the man's in claim, so is his excuse, his offering, so he must have known that it is so. So when God gives something to us, whatever kind of talent, we should use it wisely to bring honor and glory to God's name. So we are still endowed today with gifts which we are expected to use wisely. Hard work and common sense can make all the difference in our lives. The parable is not just about financial management, of course, but it is also about the attitude, and we heard about attitude this morning already. It's about the attitude that we take to others and the opportunity which comes our way. And we know it quite well. We have said it in this church, and we can say it again. You give one man, or you give two men the same amount of money and tell them go invest. And one will, in a short time, tell you, this is, yeah man, the business are going good. And the other one say, say business mash up. Why? It's the attitude, the common sense, and how they approach it. Okay, so we can also take away from the verses that faithfulness and diligence is important. Those commended, and that's the one with the 2 and the one with the 5, they did not hesitate to get into action. The fact that they did well also indicates that they were prudent in what they did. And every businessman, if he doesn't have prudence and business acumen, the business will fail. So they use their time, they use their wealth, and they use the opportunities to keep moving onward and upward. And I don't believe that God ever puts a person in a place where he can't make something worthwhile of his life. Never. I think what happens the most is like Solomon in the Proverbs keep making the point that if you're lazy, you're going to end up in a condition that you don't want to end up with. And if you're just covetous and you're sitting down watching somebody else make it, and you wish, I wish I could be like, wishes don't do anything. all that wishes may do for you is just cause you to be despondent and become more covetous. Because when people are putting in the hard work and the labor, it is something. One of the important lessons my parents taught us was, you see people with them things, you know they get it. So now watch nobody. Don't be long-eye, don't be red-eye. Ever hear them things there? Still true today. Because some people long-eye, red-eye, and whatever other terms we may use. And they don't know what people go through. Because even in my little life here, some people will not know. I mean, I'm not financially up there like whole heap of people. But I'm standing here, you don't know how many nights I went to my bed, midnight, 1 o'clock. You don't know those things, and you don't need to know. I'm just using it as reference to say, when you see people, and when people say they don't know, they just hook on the corner and say, I got joke down at you there because him have it, you know. You don't know about those sleepless nights. You don't know about my marking books at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to school and write lesson plan. They don't know those things. And they just see you, and them, boy, the man that got it, you know, we could take it. Bad mind, covetous. Elder, you want to make a point? I will allow you. Go ahead, and then we're going to wrap up.
Same thing or two different things?
Why it can't be the same? I'm not even too sure. They're probably in the same category anyway. Yes, sister.
I was saying to long eye is to begrudging, really.
Yeah, it's all grudge.
But likewise, the red eye is same to be grudge. But the red eye seeming like it's to be grudge with that crave and want to have it and have it now and even more than you at any risk at any time.
Yeah. All right, yes. There are similarities in the meanings, of course. We can't deny that. All right, but I'm going to wrap up because sun is setting and we have other activities to take care of. But Proverbs 19:17, and I love this. And by the way, I don't think there's anybody assigned for Vesper, so can this be the Vesper thought? All right, so this is Vesper. Holy Vesper. God says that if you're kind to the poor, you look and you see the need and you intervene and help, God will give you a reward. So sometimes we don't understand, you know. That is why some people who are wealthy get more wealth, because they look out for people and they... Let me tell you something about God. I remember many, many years ago, there was a certain pastor who came into the district I was in then, somewhere in the country. And he made a point. He said, you see, God, you take one little spoon, one little teaspoon, and you give God. You see, when God will give you back, you think God used teaspoon? God, yeah, man, God used shovel. And when you use a barrow, what do you use now? God used dumper truck and whatever. And you see, sometimes we take these things lightly, you know. When God said, what will he do in Malachi? He says, I will open. How many windows? How many windows? We have not a clue. You know how many windows God have when he said going to open the windows of heaven? And how big is heaven? Brethren, and remember, you know, by the way, because one of the things we sometimes mistake is that all blessings are financial. I know, so it go. Sometimes it is, and some people have it. And some people have what they call deep pocket. Mine is shallow. Only a key in there right now, and I could tell you something about the key, but I'm not going to tell you about the key now. Let's get back to the thing. What I'm saying here is that we see that concern for the welfare of others bring rewards. We're talking about relationship. You remember what we started with? Stewardship is not about money. It's about relationship. It is when we care for other people that God comes in and help us care for them. Only a faithless fool says, I cannot afford to give. And this is a serious statement, you know. Me not have it. Me can't give. And I unfortunately heard that somebody say, me if you go in my pocket and take out $2,000 put in a treasury, you're mad. Who you are, rob? Yourself, thank you. Only yourself you're robbing. If you only knew what God would do with that $2,000, you'd have wish you had more to give. And that is attitude. I cannot afford to give. The truth is, he cannot afford not to give. He is actually poor because of his stinginess. And I'm concluding with, remember the widow and the two mites. Why do I bring her up now? Okay, thank you, my sister. Okay. I'm going to end this note. The widow and the two mites. And it's a story we have heard over and over. We know it quite well. But I'm going to tell you something that I came across recently about this story. It is said that the least denomination you could use was the 2 mite. It's like you have a 1 cent. You have a fraction less than a 1 cent? We don't have less than a 1 cent. Do we? No. So it's the least in value. So you can't find what would be 10% of a 1 cent? All right, whatever, 0 point something. I told you about my math story already, so don't ask me about that. So this woman brought in to the treasury. We're talking about attitude here. Jesus saw her and he said, she has placed more in than anybody else. And Jesus clarified and said, it's all her living. When the widow put her 2 mite in, I don't know what hopes she had in her heart, but she said, Lord, I place it in your treasury. It belongs to you. Do what you will with it. And we don't even get much about her after that, so we don't know what went on in her life thereafter. But the fact that she exercised faith and trust in God, we know, we know that something good came out of it for her. She went and she lived her life because she sacrificed. And some of us, and I've been pretty close there myself, so I can talk. Lord, I have no money to go tomorrow. I have $500 in my pocket. Should I give it? Or should I go home with it? And hope me find one $500 while I walk go home. Attitude. 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 And you see how the thing goes? But she said, Lord, I'm placing it in the kitty, in the church. It's up to you to do what you want to do. It's like the woman back in the other one who said, Lord, after I feed my son, the 2 of us we eat, we are going to lie down and we are going to dead because we don't say anything else. But she faithfully obeyed the man of God. And they were fed while the famine lasted. What am I saying to my church brethren as we face this new week? We are facing a new week. You don't have it. You don't like to have it, but you don't have it. Some of you are going to like you have it. Some of us, poor show great. Ever heard that story? And some of us would like to help people, but we can't help them because we don't have it. And sometimes it burns our heart when we want to help and we see the need and we cannot address it. It's that care and concern in the heart that God sees and he observes and he says, okay, if he had it, if she had it, 2 or 3 other persons would be happy because it would help them. God is looking inside our hearts and he knows what is inside of them. And he's just waiting on us to have the right relationship with him and with others, of course. Because that's one of the things the elder mentioned this morning. If we're not having a right relationship with other people, we are not being faithful stewards to God. If we're looking at somebody now, whether in the church or outside of the church, and we have serious issues with them, we can't talk to them because you see that one day, we need to talk back to God. Because God is very concerned about the attitude we take to him and to each other. It's about relationship. When we are clear and clean with God, everything else will fall into place. May God help us as we go through this week and the rest of our lives to be better and faithful stewards. Because we are going to hear one day, you have been faithful over a little, maybe a few thousand, maybe a million, whatever it was. I have better things in store for you. Come enter into the joy of my salvation, because we're going to live forever throughout eternity. You want to sing a song or we just pray? Pray. All right, stand with me as we pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for speaking to our hearts, to our entire beings. We thank you for the blessed Sabbath day. Thank you for giving it to us. Thank you for being a part of our worship experience. Because, Lord, we could speak to you, we could address you, we could sing praises, honor, and glory to your name. And as we're about to leave your course, we thank you for the reassurance that if we are faithful and true to you and we come to you with the right attitude, with the right mindset, you will work things out for us. And it's not, Lord, all about dollars and cents. Because truly nothing else matters. Because when we come to the end of our earthly pilgrimage, it's not going to be about what we have had, since we no longer have them. But it is the characters that we have developed under your loving care, the forgiveness of our sins covered by your Son's precious blood, that will ensure that we have a place in your kingdom in eternity. So, Lord, as we go through this new week, give us the right perspective. Give us the right balance in our living. Give us the right relationship that we need to have with you and with each other. And may the spirit of compassion that lived in the heart of Jesus while he was in his human form on earth, may that same compassion now enter into our own hearts, so that as we see the needs around us, our hearts will be prompted to do what we can to help the suffering of humanity. And Lord, as you bless us with whatever you bless us with, may we have the willingness to share with others. Keep us safe as we go through this week again. Safe journeying mercies when we leave to go to our respective places of abode. Then bring us back, Lord, to worship you. Come next Sabbath again, when we shall have that grand homecoming exercise. May all your people from the diaspora feel it important to associate with the brethren here now. And may we have a joyful reunion on earth as we continue to look forward to the joyful reunion in heaven when you shall return. Bless us to this end, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Let the words. Have a great week. And at a convenient time, we will conclude the rest of this study. Have a great week again, everyone.
All right, please remember our prayer and fasting tomorrow morning, starting at 6 o'clock, online, prayer and fasting tomorrow morning, online, starting at 6 o'clock, and in the evening we have Sunday night meeting online also. Wednesday night is in the sanctuary, all right? And the board meeting, board members, is online. All right, thank you.
Okay, please be aware I'm just checking information. Meeting tomorrow night will be online, and Wednesday it will also be online. You will receive the link. So, yes, Wednesday coming, it's going to be online. Yeah, I'm pointing that out. So tomorrow night, meeting online, Wednesday online, the link will be in the group. So just check the link and be a part of it.